Hi and welcome back to another episode of jPlay. I'm Marcus and today I want to show you Good Cop, Bad Cop, a small but very nice card game currently running on Kickstarter, at least for another week or so. Even though the campaign is not finished yet, the components look quite fine to me. Okay, the components are only cards, but still they look quite nice. Even the rules come on cards, but you can download a bigger copy from the designer's website, and I think they include some example images as well. Good Cop, Bad Cop is a team game for 4 to 8 players, where the side of the kingpin fights against the side of the agent. Basically, good versus bad, yin versus yang, Jets versus sharks, Jedi versus Sith. I think you get the picture. Originally it was designed for 5 to 8 players, but I think they changed that in the course of this campaign. It has some very basic similarities to Bang, but it's definitely unique enough to make it into your game shelf beside Bang, and there is also no Renegade in this one. Let's have a brief look at the different card types that ship with the game. First thing to mention are the integrity cards, as they define on which side you are. During setup each player gets 3 of those, and if the majority of these cards show honest, you fight on the side of the agent. If you see more of the crooked cards, you are obviously a bad person. If you have either the agent or the kingpin card, you are either good or bad. And then it really doesn't matter how many other crooked or honest cards you actually have. These are the gun cards and are being used to aim at another player in order to make him or her reveal all of her integrity cards. The game comes with a bunch of these equipment cards which give you special powers during the game, but you are only allowed to hold one of these cards in your hand, so use it wisely. Wound cards are being used to show if either the kingpin or the agent has been wounded. Whenever they would get a second wound, they are eliminated and the other side wins the game. Let's set up a 5-player game, as my version has to be played with at least 5 players. But remember, the current version is designed to support also only 4 players. And thanks to my son, I found some very nice avatars to reflect those players. And guess who will be crooked in this one? First of all, you remove all integrity cards that show a number greater than the actual number of players. So in this example for a 5-player game, cards like these two showing 6+ or 7+ in the top right corner. Next, you build a pile consisting of the kingpin and the agent, and then you add up as many integrity cards to have as many cards in this pile as there are players. So let's turn that face down. And we add 3 random integrity cards. Of course, no one is allowed to look at this pile. Then we shuffle the pile and give 1 card to each of the players. Afterwards, we deal 2 additional integrity cards to each of the player so that everyone ends up with 3 integrity cards. Each player checks his cards secretly and places them in front of him. From now on, it's not allowed to change the order of the cards throughout the game. Everyone knows now on which side he is fighting. The pirate is obviously honest. Can you believe that one? And that's pretty clear because he's the agent. So even if he would have 2 crook cards, he would be an agent player and of course would be honest and on the good side. The player who has most recently told a lie will be the starting player and will receive this lead investigator card. You can determine the starting player more random, of course, which I do prefer. Let's assume that Yoda will go first and he is honest, for example. Just assume that. But right now he has no clue who else is on his side, and that's quite similar to Bang. During your turn you go through 3 phases. But sometimes you skip one of them. In the first phase, you can decide to go for 1 action out of 4 possible. You can investigate 1 integrity card of another player, like this one here. Remember that you are not allowed to change the order of the cards. This way, you can slowly deduct who is on your side and who is not. Of course, you are not allowed to show the card to someone else, but you can tell everyone what you saw. Of course, you are allowed to lie. You can draw an equipment card, but remember your hand limit of only one card, and you are not allowed to actually use equipment cards before you reduced your hand size to the proper limit. Normally you can use those cards anytime throughout the game if the card doesn't tell you something different, like this taser, which can only be played during your turn as your action. You can arm by picking up a gun from the common reserve, but you are only allowed to hold one gun at a time. And in a 5-player game there are only 3 gun cards available. By doing so, you have to reveal one of your face-down integrity cards, so everyone gets an idea of who you are. This card will stay face-up from now on. And last but not least, you can shoot another player if you're already aiming at him, and I will come to that in a second. When you shoot, you will return the gun to the common reserve. The player being shot has to reveal all his integrity cards, and if he's not the agent or the kingpin, he's basically out of the game. The kingpin or agent player would get a wound card instead. Again, if this would lead to a second wound, the other side automatically wins the game. The next phase after the action phase would be to take aim, meaning you will aim at another player with a gun you picked up during the first phase. If you don't have a gun, you cannot aim, of course. When you're completely done, you pass the lead investigator card to the player on your left, and this player will follow the same cycle. It's really crucial to find out who is on your side and who isn't, because just shooting blindly at someone can leave you alone with your foes when you hit the only player on your side. You also have to use the equipment cards wisely, as they can change the situation for any player dramatically, especially with the planted evidence, which you can see here. When either the kingpin or the agent is eliminated, the game ends and the other side wins. If any player ends up with both of those cards at the same time, for example by using the bribe equipment card, that player wins with all other crook players, and this can be a very interesting twist. As I mentioned, Good Cop, Bad Cop is still running on Kickstarter for some time, so I would really encourage you to reach out there and grab a copy before it's too late, as this is definitely an awesome party or filler game with loads of lying, swearing and intrigues, which I definitely enjoy in the game. I will put a link to the Kickstarter project in the video description. I hope you really liked my little preview of Good Cop, Bad Cop, and hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. Until then, bye.